that work for the district, supporting students and teachers in the teaching and learning of access points. Rochelle will be monitoring the chat for your questions, and I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. So as we share this information on access points, and we are presenting this information using a format that will be accessible for you to refer to at any time, after this presentation. And so we will be giving you the link to it at the end so that you can take it with you wherever you go and share it with all your friends. So in case you need to leave for any reason, just know that you will eventually have that link so you can come back to it. So this format has the feature of allowing us to include updates to it in real time, and we hope that you enjoy the other interactive features, some of which we will watch during this session, and some of which we hope that you will use on your own for deeper understanding. But for the purposes of this session, we will navigate us through the slides and the interactive features. But at a future time, when you do have access to this particular presentation, you will be able to navigate on your own through the different features. So is everybody ready? Let's start.
Welcome to A Parent's Part in Access Points. This information is provided by OCPS and the Curriculum and Instruction Access Points team for parents, family members, and caregivers of students eligible to be instructed in Access Points. As we begin, please note some of the interactive elements provided on the slides. If a slide has an interactive element, a finger will appear in the upper right-hand corner. By selecting it, you will be able to see what is interactive. On this slide, for example, there are 4 interactive elements. The element with the letters CC provides closed captioning, and the drawing of a lady provides a tip for a parent's part. The computer monitor provides a greeting, and finally, the starburst provides a document with additional information. Please select the arrow to the right to begin.
All right, we're going to go on to the next slide.
As you begin this session, take some deep breaths to calm your mind and focus on the content. Then select the arrow to the right to continue.
Everybody had their breaths? Great.
Ready to go? Great. You have come to this session to better understand access points and your part as a parent or family member in supporting your child. We hope to provide you with what is an access point, why do we have access points, who is eligible to be instructed in access points, and how are they implemented. Let's get started. As you can see in this slide, access points are what students need to know and be able to do by the end of the year at each grade level. Access points explicitly state the actions such as identify, calculate, recall, summarize, or analyze that students need to demonstrate to show the teacher they have reached mastery.
Let's take a look at this video.
In this video, we'll discuss 3 key points to consider in order to help your child with academics. Why is standards-based academic instruction important for my child? What standards-based academic topics is my child learning? How do I find the standards my child is working on? Why is standards-based academic instruction important for my child? You may be wondering why you need to think about academics like reading, writing, and math when your child is home with you. One reason is that learning is enhanced when the home reinforces what the child is learning at school. Another reason is that doing things at home makes them more relevant to your child. In addition, academics are relevant and important for your child for several reasons. For example, by focusing on the same topics as other students, students with disabilities are able to communicate about the same educational experiences with their peers. Academics help children learn about their world and how to make sense of what they are seeing and hearing. It helps build a basis for making decisions. And, while it might seem far away, academic knowledge and skills helps prepare students for post-secondary possibilities. Helping children learn about the same interesting and engaging content that their same-age peers are learning can support active connections in school and for future inclusion in their community. What standards-based academic topics is my child learning? How do you know what academics your child is being taught? Check with teachers about your child's IEP goals for reading, math, and other academic goals. These goals may indicate specific topics, like fractions, or may give you information on the state academic standards that are being addressed. This information can help you to talk about the same topics and use the same words as are being used in school. All states have academic standards that describe what students in each grade are to learn. These standards are for all students, regardless of whether they have a disability. Teachers start from these standards when figuring out how to individualize instruction for students with significant cognitive disabilities. They are helped in these efforts by looking at how the state has prioritized content and defined the performance expectations for students on the alternate assessment. Here is an example of a state's academic standard in math at 3rd grade. Tell and write time from both analog and digital clocks to the nearest 5 minutes using AM and PM. For students with significant cognitive disabilities, the performance expectation might be that the child will tell time to the nearest 5 minutes using a digital clock. In reading, a state's grade 6 academic standard might be determine 2 or more central ideas in a text and analyze their development over the course of the text, and provide an objective summary of the text. For students with significant cognitive disabilities, the performance expectation for the same 6th grade reading standard might be determine the central idea of a text. How do I find the standards my child is working on? You can find your state's standards on your state's education website. There, you will find the academic standards for each grade and subject area. You may also be able to locate the performance expectations for students with significant cognitive disabilities. These may be given different names in states. Some of the names are extended standards, connectors, essence statements, and access points. It is usually possible to find these prioritized standards by going to your state's alternate assessment page. Simply put your state followed by alternate assessment standards in your search engine. Knowing your state's standards can help you understand what is being taught when your child is in school. You might also talk with your child's teachers about how the academic curriculum is being taught. You can reinforce learning relevant to those standards through everyday activities with your child. More information on how to do this is provided in other videos in this series.
So even though this particular video was focused somewhat on California standards, we will be showing you how to access the Florida access points throughout this presentation. Let's move on to our next slide.
Let's look at this access point aligned to this language arts standard. As you see in this access point, that the content the student is required to learn is at grade level, but at a reduced level of complexity. So how would you answer those same questions for this access point? You may have determined that the students need to know what character, setting, event, or conflict means. You also may have seen that the students need to be able to answer questions about them, and finally that you would see evidence of their understanding by observing students using their communication devices to answer questions, or keyboarding answers, or even selecting pictures to answer. Access points are designed to contribute to a fully aligned system of content, instruction, and assessment, and are focused on knowledge and skills needed at each grade level to prepare for the next grade level. Access points preserve the sequence of learning into teachable and accessible segments of content included in the standards. They also reflect increasing levels of complexity and depth of knowledge aligned with grade level expectations. Access points and access courses are setting neutral, meaning a separate classroom is not required for instruction. The science, social studies, arts, and PE access points have tiered access through levels of complexity and defined as independent, supported, and participatory. Math and ELA access points are designed in a scaffold hierarchy called Essential Understandings, or EUs. As we look at who is eligible to be instructed in access points, we will learn about what constitutes a significant cognitive disability, the course and assessment participation determination, and the Florida Alternate Assessment Framework. What is a significant cognitive disability? How do you know if a student has a significant cognitive disability? Is it because they use a wheelchair? Is it a student with Down syndrome? What if the student can't talk? Or what if they can't see or hear? How do you know? We hear and use the term significant cognitive disability many times during our educational career. We find out that many of us are unclear as to what the term means when determining the appropriate instruction for students. We would like to share a document provided by Orange County Public Schools in conjunction with the Florida Department of Education that provides guidance in determining if a student has a significant cognitive disability. By understanding this term, an informed decision is made in providing instruction and access points for a student. Take a moment to read these 3 questions included within the guidance document. Then click the arrow to the right to continue. If the IEP team determines that all 3 of the questions accurately characterize a student's current educational situation, then the student should be enrolled in access courses and the Florida Alternate Assessment should be used to provide meaningful evaluation of the student's current academic achievement. If yes is not checked in all 3 areas, then the student should be instructed in the general education courses and participate in the general statewide standardized assessment with accommodations as appropriate. In accordance with Rule 6A, if the decision of the IEP team is that the student will participate in access courses and be assessed through the Florida Alternate Assessment, the parents of the student must give signed consent to have their child instructed in access points and their achievement measured based on alternate academic achievement standards. This decision must be documented on the parent consent form, instruction in the State Standards Access Points Curriculum and Florida Alternate Assessment Administration, which is available at the link on the slide. If the parent fails to respond after reasonable efforts by the school district to obtain consent, the school district may provide instruction in the State Standards Access Points Curriculum and administer the Florida Alternate Assessment. The IEP should include a statement of why the student cannot participate in the general assessment and why the alternate assessment is appropriate. As the determination is made by the IEP for a student to participate in the Florida Standards Alternate Assessment, the team must also decide which option will be administered, performance task or datafolio. Please take a few minutes to read about these options before you click the arrow to move on. As we leave this section, we would like to leave you with this quote: "Every student is a general education student first." Let's take a look at the history of access points. Beginning in 2006, access points became the means through which students with a significant cognitive disability had access to to the general education content found in the next generation Sunshine State Standards. Access points were developed for all standards with 3 complexity levels that represented a continuum of understanding at the participatory, supported, and independent level. Let's take a look at the history of access points. The need to develop access points resulted from mandates in 2 pieces of federal legislation, the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, formerly known as No Child Left Behind, and the Individuals with Disabilities Act, IDEA. These laws require that the curriculum for students with a significant cognitive disability be closely aligned to the general education curriculum. They also require that schools are accountable for reporting student achievement. The ESSA requires that all students must be assessed on state standards. States are held accountable for showing student progress toward proficiency. All students must have access to the general education grade level curriculum, including students with a significant cognitive disability, and a small percentage of students may be assessed on an alternate test. IDEA requirements include access to the general education grade level curriculum for all students with disabilities and accountability for student progress. Assurances that instructional strategies will be research-based and that all of the students' educational needs must be considered. To provide for participation in the state's accountability system, Florida developed Florida Standards with access points for ELA and math. There are also Next Generation Sunshine State Standards access points for students with a significant cognitive disability in science, social studies, and other subject areas which are written at reduced levels of complexity. The More Info link provides a video developed by the Florida Department of Education that you may watch for additional information.
Okay, at this time we can stop for a moment and see if we have any questions that you would like to post in the chat about what we have covered so far. So we'll give you just a few moments to do that. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and move on to our next slide. Access points frame the instruction and assessment of students with a significant cognitive disability, allowing them to work toward the general education curriculum. The example shown here shows how the access points are organized to align to the general education standards and the resources to create a course of study.
All access points are intended to allow fluid movement as students grow in competency. They are not meant to be pigeonholes or to categorize a student, and allow for both levels of complexity and essential understandings to help teachers disaggregate the standard into a variety of levels that may be taught in their classrooms. Regardless of the subject in which teachers are working, students have flexible access to the Florida standards. Please watch this video on the impact of IDEA on individuals with disabilities.
Down syndrome? Well, there'll be a lot of limitations.
Are you sure about that?
They tend to do well performing only the simplest of tasks.
I am a lobbyist on Capitol Hill.
A regular life with lasting relationships.
We've been together for 14 years.
Their cognitive ceiling limits their ability to work.
I own a business.
Low muscle tone prevents any possibility of achievement in sports. I wouldn't expect much.
I was on an Emmy-winning show.
It's a stretch for them to live past their 50th birthday. To be blunt with you, it's a lifetime of limitations.
Your limitations.
Not mine. Not mine.
Not mine.
Not
Mine.
So as you can see through this video that there have been powerful changes in the last 40 years for students with significant cognitive disabilities. We do see in our chat that the question was made about how many students in Orange County will or have taken the alternate assessment. And Erica, we'll be happy to get you that information before we end this session today. We also will provide you with a link to that TIES video, which gave you information on instructing your child at home as they follow through with the instruction on access points. So Rochelle, thank you so much for giving that information. That yes, we have approximately assessed 1,800 students in Orange County. And she has also included the TIES Center link if you would like to go back and look at more information, because they also have a lot of information for parents on instructing students that are instructed in access points. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next slide.
Now that we have learned what an access point is, who is eligible to receive instruction in access points, and why we have access points, let's turn to our final question of how access points are provided. Orange County Public Schools uses 3 main locations: CPUMS, the Access Project, and Orange County Public Schools Curriculum Resource Materials, or CRMs. Let's take a look. Access courses are developed only for students with a significant cognitive disability. They provide access to the general curriculum with increasing levels of complexity and depth of knowledge. They are aligned with grade level expectations and intentionally designed to foster high expectations.
So we're going to stop just a moment to respond to Ms. Vasquez's question about, is IQ testing a part of whether or not a determination to have a student on access points is included? And yes, once you go back and if you want to look at the document that we did share in this particular presentation, it is a piece of that determination, which is done with the IEP team. So that's a great question. All right, let's go ahead on to our next slide.
The Access Points curriculum is organized into access courses as well as into general education courses. In locating access courses, CPUMS and the Access Project websites are linked here as a resource for you. But let's begin by looking at CPUMS on the next slide. These courses are located in CPUMS, which is an online toolbox of information, embedded resources, and interactive tools that helps educators effectively implement teaching standards. It is the state of Florida's official source for standards information and course descriptions. Click the CPUMS link above to access the website for more information. The Access Project is an additional resource to locate access courses. The Access Project supports statewide professional development to ensure a greater understanding of the access points. This results in more effective instructional planning and teaching of academic content for students with a significant cognitive disability. Let's take a look at how the Florida standards are coded for ELA and math. In this language arts example, the beginning letters LAFS stand for the subject area of Language Arts Florida Standards. This is followed by the number 3, indicating this is a 3rd grade standard. Next are the letters RL, which show this standard is a reading standard for literature, which belongs to the cluster or topic, key ideas and details, which is indicated by the number 1. And finally is the number 1, indicating the standard. Access points are coded in a similar format, except that the letters AP, standing for access points, and a number and lowercase letter are used in place of the standard number, shown here written in red. The following two slides indicate the coding for the domains for English language arts and math. As you can see, the coding of the access points in mathematics and English language arts provides the teacher with clarity for the connection to the specific content. This is an example of a social studies standard. As you can see, standards for science, social studies, art, and PE are coded in a similar format to the ELA and math standards. The access points aligned to these subject areas have tiered access through levels of complexity and defined as independent, supported, and participatory. As indicated in red, IN is independent, SU supported, and PA participatory, which again indicates the complexity level of the standard and access point. These access points were written and aligned to the next generation Sunshine State standards, but were not included in the revisions to the Florida standards.
So I want to stop I'll go ahead.
Marks for excellent student thinking, or BEST standards, and how they are coded. Full implementation of both kindergarten through 12th grade English language arts and kindergarten through 12th grade mathematics BEST standards with corresponding instructional materials will occur in the 2022-2023 school year. This corresponds with the first year of statewide assessments aligned to the new standards. Access points are also being reviewed with the same time frame of implementation.
This is another great time to ask questions about the access points and how they're coded and the content that's provided. Okay, let's continue.
Orange County Public Schools provides the access courses within the District Curriculum Resource Materials, or CRMs. Now that you know more about access points, we look forward to the future of students that have received the best instruction at Orange County Public Schools. What is next is the one question that we still need to answer. After graduation, plans are made for that future. Let's take a look at this person's answer to what is next.
Few athletic events test the limits of human endurance more than an Ironman.
What do you think you'll feel when you finish?
I'll be amazing.
Amazing for anyone, but beyond for 21-year-old Chris Nikic. Organizers say he's the first person with Down syndrome to ever attempt one.
I can prove to kids that if I can do it, then they can do it too.
He'll swim 2.4 miles in open water, then ride 112 miles, and run a full marathon, 26.2 miles. 4 to 8 hours a day is training time. Chris's motto, get 1% better every day.
Ironman?
Ironman.
And eat more rice.
Yes.
Victories hard-earned for a boy who endured countless surgeries, couldn't walk until age 4, or eat solid foods until 5. Chris's parents want others raising children with Down syndrome to see new possibility in Chris's journey.
We want them to realize earlier that their child is a blessing and they can live an amazing life.
Parents are reaching out to me saying that I'm the hero to the kids and it's possible for them.
All right, let's go.
His goal will change history. His determination?
You are an Iron Man!
Already changing hearts and minds. Katie Beck, NBC News.
NBC.
So I know in this particular video, we see this young man with Down syndrome and possibly think about the fact that he probably does not have a significant cognitive disability. But throughout the history, or at least in my history of working with students with significant cognitive disabilities, that has not always been so. That at the back in 1974, that's what was thought, that that particular Down syndrome was a significant cognitive disability. But because of the efforts of parents like yourself and educators and understanding and the supports and the changes in technology, that no longer is the case. And we have seen great gains that we want to see also with all of our students with disabilities, no matter what the cognitive level is. So we want to continue to the next slide, which is going to talk a little bit more about the future for students with a significant cognitive disability in college.
Think College is a national organization dedicated to developing, expanding, and improving inclusive higher education options for people with an intellectual disability. With a commitment to equity and excellence, Think College supports evidence-based and student-centered research and practice by generating and sharing knowledge, guiding institutional change, informing public policy, and engaging with students, professionals, and families. Please access the thinkcollege.net link at the top of the slide for more information.
But at this time, we want to watch this short video on UCF's college program.
My dream is to be a knight. That's what I want to be.
A knight means a college student. I'm proud to be a knight.
I am at least my time an IES student.
My name is Matt Ortiz and I'm an IES student. When I was in high school, I wanted to go to college and experience it. When I got into UCF, I felt nervous, scared, and happy at the same time. My mom was really nervous, dropping me off. I told her everything is going to be all right.
As a child, he was just always into different things. He really liked interacting with people. At the same time, he was a shy kid as well. But it was that learning piece that always kept him behind. In his graduating class, where we live, there aren't many options, but I felt like there's got to be something more.
So we've created a really inclusive experience here on campus for students with intellectual disabilities. They come to campus, they take classes both within an IES cohort and also with other UCF students, and they live on their own. They're learning how to go to class on their own, manage their time. We just really looked at how any other student progresses through and experiences UCF, and wherever possible, we wanted to make this experience for students who are part of IES to really have that same experience that every other student can have.
I'm in this order by 7:12. I'm at least about to everyone. Welcome. Woo! Okay. I'm so happy I got into that nice IES program. It's a lot. I've been doing a lot. Classes and clubs and SGA and so forth.
I haven't really met someone else that has been so involved on campus as much as she has, doing an internship and being a part of election commission and best buddies, and the fact that she's such a representative of the IES program. No matter how busy she is just always such like a bright light in everyone's life.
Elise is a great friend. She likes to do Zumba. She likes to dance wherever she goes. She likes to motivate people.
When I teach Zumba, I feel wonderful. The Zumba class is very high intensity class. It's a lot of Zumba songs, like Latin songs, basically. I like dancing, I like Zumba, it's fun. I like to enjoy myself.
I'm looking forward to starting my journey after graduation. Working with kids and teaching them, kids with disabilities. The kids make my day, every time.
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, I think it's a parent's biggest joy to know that their children are doing something that they're passionate about, that would cause them to get up in the morning and feel excited about it. As a parent of a child with a disability, you're never quite sure what that picture is going to look like for them. he's been blessed enough to have found something that he's good at, and somebody's actually willing to pay him to be able to sustain himself. And that's the biggest thing for me.
I want to welcome IES students, UCF faculty, staff, and friends of the IES community who are joining us here today. This is our first group of students to successfully complete the IES Professional Services credential, and we're thrilled to be able to celebrate this wonderful accomplishment with them.
Matt Ortiz.
I feel a little sad because I'm going to miss CCF.
Elise Mundeline.
I would cry for sure because I just don't want to leave, and I like to be a night, you know. It's my dream.
The students really grow in self-confidence. They can get jobs, they can be successful in those experiences. And I'm really excited to see where life after graduation is going to take each of them.
I'm Matt Ortiz and I'm a UCF Knight.
I'm Elise Mundeline. I'm a UCF Knight. Tarzan.
So such an exciting video to watch, and great future for many of our students with a significant cognitive disability. We encourage you to check out thinkcollege.net, because UCF is not the only college. There are many throughout the United States. And then I see in the chat that there is a question about when do you start that transition services process, and it does begin in middle school. And if you roll over the parent icon that we have up here, we actually have the link to the Transition Services website on OCPS, which would be a great place to start. So now we're going to go on to our last slide, but you're welcome to continue to put questions into the chat, but we do want to thank you for coming.
We hope this information has been helpful and has encouraged you to access the links included in this presentation. It has been a pleasure to present to you, and we look forward to providing additional learning experiences customized just for you. Thank you for doing your part in your child's education.
We also want to encourage you to share this with a friend. So be sure you talk to others that have students with significant cognitive disabilities. We would love for you to be able to go ahead and give them this link as well, and we'll have it posted on the OCPS website with the recording along with it. So any other questions we will be happy to address if you want to go ahead and put some of those in the chat. So if you don't have any further questions, this ends our presentation. We hope you have a great rest of the day and look forward to seeing you at future parent presentations. And remember, always do your part. Thank you.